Hello, welcome to the Self Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Chapter 4, The Market as a Social Institution. And our topic is globalization, interlinking of local, regional, national, and international markets. Since the late 1980s, India has entered a new era in its economic history, following the change in economic policy from one of state led development to liberalization. This shift also ushered in the era of globalization, a period in which the world is becoming increasingly interconnected, not only economically but also culturally and politically. The term globalization includes a number of trends, especially the increase in international movement of commodities, money, information, and people, as well as the development of technology such as in computers, telecommunications, and transport infrastructure to allow this movement. A central feature of globalization is the increasing extension and integration of markets around the world. This integration means that changes in a market in one part of the globe may have a profound impact somewhere else far away. For instance, India's booming software industry may face a slump if the US economy does badly, as happened after the 9/11 attack on the World Trade Center in New York, leading to loss of business and jobs here. The software services industries and business processes outsourcing BPO industries such as call centers are some of the major avenues through which India is getting connected to the global economy. Companies based in India provide low cost services and labor to customers located in the developed countries of the West. We can say that there is now a global market for Indian software, labor, and other services. Now, let us move to the next point, the virtual market conquering time and space. Under globalization, not only money and goods, but also people, cultural products, and images circulate rapidly around the world, enter new circuits of exchange, and create new market. Products, services, or elements of culture that were earlier outside of the market system are drawn into it. An example is the marketing of Indian spirituality and knowledge system, such as yoga and Ayurveda in the West. The growing market of international tourism also suggests how culture itself may become a commodity. An example is the famous annual fair in Pushkar, Rajasthan, to which the pastoralists and the traders come from the distant places to buy and sell camels and other livestock. While the Pushkar fair continues to be a major social and economic event for local people, it is also marketed internationally as a major tourist attraction. The fair is all the more attractive to tourists because it comes just before a major Hindu religious festival of Kartik Purnima, when pilgrims come to bathe in the holy Pushkar lake. Thus, Hindu pilgrims, camel traders, and foreign tourists mingle at this event, exchanging not only livestock and money but also cultural symbols and religious merit. Now, the next topic is debate on liberalization, market versus state. The globalization of Indian economy has been due primarily to the policy of liberalization that was started in the late 1980s. Liberalization includes a range of policies such as the privatization of public sector enterprises, selling government owned companies to private companies, loosening of government regulations on capital, labor, and trade, a reduction is in tariff and import duties so that foreign goods can be imported more easily, and allowing easier access for foreign companies to set up industries in India. Another word of such changes in marketization or the use of markets or market based processes rather than government regulations or policies to solve social, political, or economic problems. These include relaxation or removal of economic controls, deregulations, privatization of industries, and removing government controls over wages and prices. Those who advocate marketization believe that these steps will promote economic growth and prosperity because private industry is more efficient than government owned industry. The changes that have been made under the liberalization program have stimulated economic growth and opened up industrial markets to foreign companies. For example, many foreign branded goods are now sold, which were not previously available. Increasing foreign investment is supposed to help economic growth and employment. The privatization of public companies is supposed to increase their efficiency and reduce the government's burden of running these companies. However, the impact of liberalization has been mixed. Many people argue that the liberalization and globalization have had or will have a negative net impact on India. That is, the costs and disadvantages will be more than the advantages and benefits. Some sectors of Indian industry, like software and information technology or agriculture, like fish or fruit, may benefit from access to the global market. But other sectors like automobile, electronics, or oil seed will lose because they cannot compete with foreign producers. For example, Indian farmers are now exposed to competition from farmers in other countries because import of agricultural products is allowed. Earlier, Indian agriculture was protected from the world market by support prices and subsidies. Support prices helps to ensure a minimum income for farmers because they are the prices at which the government agrees to buy agricultural commodities. Subsidies lower the cost of farming because the government pays part of the price charged for input, such as fertilizer or diesel oil. Liberalization is against this kind of government interference in markets, so support prices and subsidies are reduced or withdrawn. This means that many farmers are not able to make a decent living from agriculture. Similarly, small manufacturers have been exposed to global competition as foreign goods and branded have entered the market, and some have not been able to compete. The privatization or closing of public sector industries has led to loss of employment in some sectors and to growth of unorganized sector employment at the expense of the organized sector. This is not good for workers because the organized sector generally offers better paid and more regular or payment jobs. In this chapter, we have seen that there are many different kinds of markets in contemporary India, from the village heart to the virtual stock exchange. These markets are themselves social institutions and are connected to other aspects of the social structure, such as caste and class, in various ways. In addition, we have learned that exchange has a social and symbolic significance that goes far beyond its immediate economic purpose. Moreover, the ways in which goods and services are exchanged or circulate is rapidly changing due to the liberalization of the Indian economy and globalization. There are many different ways and levels at which goods, services, cultural symbols, money, and so on circulate from the local market in a village or town right up to a global trading network such as the Nescade. In today's rapidly changing world, it is important to understand how markets are being constantly transformed and the broader social and economic consequences of these changes. Now, let us wind up the session, and we have come to the end of the chapter. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with the Self Learning Podcast.